Today we're going to make matzah from scratch. And I know earlier we spoke with Rabbi Scott and he said, you know, they sell matzah in the store. I reminded him that we live in Third Ward and they don't actually have matzah in our store. And, you know, we're hunkering down. We're, what would you say we're doing? Quarantining. Aging in place is what I feel like we're doing by the second. So we're going to make our own matzah, and we'll see how it works. It's interesting because probably every person of a certain age, like me, had a Jewish catalog from when we were in high school. I probably had this starting as a freshman in high school, and the Jewish catalog was the be-all, end-all for DIY. Back in the day, if you wanted to be both culturally and religiously observant as a Jew. And, you know, they had to do a catalog because our grandparents all were from the old country and were observant, and our parents all wanted to be hip Americans, and that meant that they weren't particularly religious, so Dad forgot everything he learned in yeshiva, and he did really go to yeshiva, and he did really forget all of it. And so, as a result, we have the Jewish catalog. And so I pulled out my Jewish catalog to see what it wanted to tell me about what should I know about making matzah. And so probably you know that during Pesach we're not supposed to eat any of the grains other than in the form of matzah. So this is what everything is built on, is that we're eating matzah and we're not eating these other forbidden grains. And so to make matzah, so let me just say that there's matzah and there's matzah. So you can see we have a food processor out, and we have a board that we're going to roll them out. And we have our rolling pin, and we have our special pin, which I'll tell you about. But the point is that for it to be really shmura matzah, which is the really, really best of the best, holiest, the grains are watched from the time they're harvested in the field. A rabbi is watching those grains and making sure that they don't have any opportunity to ferment. And so they're watched, and then they're milled, and they're watched by the rabbi when they're milled, and they're watched while they're in flour, and then they make sure that they only have those 18 minutes from the time water hits them until they're made into matzah and thrown into an oven. So that's the really, really good stuff. You can be sure that probably there's not a rabbi watching your Straits matzah in the box from the beginning, but they are watching it supposedly from the time that the flour is made until it's made into matzah. So I have to tell you the truth. So first of all, we're using whole wheat matzah because, you know what, you need all the help you can get if you're eating matzah, so ours is whole wheat. But I have no idea what happened to this flour before it came into our house. I can tell you that it has not been exposed to any moisture since it's been here. It's been in a nice sealed container. So I'm going to trust that that's okay. Well, so we're ready to go. So we'll see how this works. We are going to put in 1 cup of flour into the food processor. So you could do this by hand. I'll tell you, if you only have 18 minutes, a food processor is going to give you more time than if you start kneading by hand. So we're going to let the food processor do the hard work, and we're going to just stick to dividing it into balls, rolling it out as thinly as we can get, and throwing it in that oven all within the 18 minutes. So we're starting with a cup of flour, which is this. We're going to put that in. And then it says we're going to put in a 1/4 cup of water. We're going to wait to do that because that's when the timer starts. We're going to put in some salt, which you've all had matzah and you know that salt helps. It's the difference between matzah and saltine cracker. So we're putting in some salt. And again, this is from my grandfather's bottling plant squirt. So we're doing that, and then we're going to put in some olive oil, which you may or may not do. I can tell you there's nothing that forbids using olive oil, and so anytime you can add olive oil to anything, you should. Why not? So we're putting in 2 tablespoons. Of the recipes that call for oil, there's a wide range of everything from a teaspoon to 1/3 of a cup. So 2 tablespoons seems like a reasonable in-between amount. And then it calls for the water. So when we're ready, we're going to do the water, turn it on, let it knead as much as it can knead. When it comes out, we're then going to quickly divide it into 6 balls using my grandmother's handy dandy bread cutter. And then we are going to work quickly to try and get them in the oven. And we'll see how this works. So I was telling Jerry, I remember as a kid making matzah. And so we're starting the timer for 18 minutes. And we may have to add more water, we'll see, because we definitely want it to form a ball. So right now it's just going around. This looks a lot more like pasta to me than like matzah. It does kind of have the same number of letters and end in an A, but not the same thing. So let's see if we can get this to form a ball, and we may want to add more water. There's, again, you know, as I think you've heard me say, there's nothing magical about any recipe. There is something magical about those 18 minutes, but otherwise, so let's see if we can add maybe just a tad more water. And the other thing is that if you're making it, it's making it sound like it's forming. If you're making it with white flour, probably the quarter is enough, but whole wheat flour absorbs a little more water, and so we want it to, let's add a little more water. Now it's forming a ball, and we want it to go ahead and form some gluten, which is why you're kneading it. And so we'll let it do the gluten thing for a few minutes. Okay, so let's see how it feels. It's a little sticky. It's a lot sticky, so we're going to give it a little more flour. And let's see what happens now. Okay, yeah, that seems like it might be all right. So now we've got a ball of what's going to be matzo dough. And it still seems a little soft to me, so we'll see what that's like. So we're going to then divide it into 6 small balls. So we'll divide it in half, and if we want 6, then we'll do 3 and 3. Put them over there, and of course don't forget, we're all under the clock for that 18 minutes. So right now we have about 14 minutes to go. So this is really a question of how quickly I can work this. So we're going to take the rolling pin, and we're going to, you see I have this grate, it tells me, and we probably want to end up with something that's about 6 inches in diameter. So we'll see how that works. And ideally you want the matzah dough to be thin enough that you can almost see through it. Well, probably you're not going to see through whole wheat flour, so I don't have any delusions that I'm going to be able to see through this, but we want it to be thin. Amazingly, this looks a little bit like a flour tortilla or chapati or something. But so we're getting pretty thin here, which I think is good. And I actually can a little bit see through it, so we're going to stop there, and then we're going to take this, which is actually from Sweden. We have a very close connection, and we've gone to Sweden, I don't know, probably, what do you think, 25 times or more? So this is to make a very traditional Swedish unleavened bread called knäckebröd. So we're going to just do this to get the so it looks like that, And what do you think? We're ready to throw it in the oven?
I think so.
All right, let's go for our first one. And so we're going to throw it in. We have breadstones in the oven, and so that didn't go in too well. Let's try again. There. Okay, so it's in the oven, and we'll work on the next one. And we're going to put the timer on the microwave for 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, we're going to flip it and then cook the other side for another minute or so, and we'll see how that comes out. So now we're moving on to the next one. I'm feeling a little pressure. We have 12 minutes to go, and we have 5 of these little tortilla deals, these little matzo wannabes. And so here we go. This is the second one. So they do smell pretty good. Might change your relationship with matzah too. If you made your own, you might feel more connected to it and less hostile. Do you feel less hostile?
Absolutely.
Good. See, that's how it starts, is you start by being less hostile to your matzah. You could add things onto them if you want to make them flavored or salt. There's no prohibition against salting them. It's our tradition in America that we buy them in a box, and that box is as insipid as possible, but they don't have to be insipid. So we may make a few that have at least salt on them. You could actually even make them everything if you wanted to mix up the ingredients, like on an everything bagel. You could do that, and you could make some of them everything-ish, and that would be tasty too. So here we go again with the, so there we go. You can see that one's really thin because we've got even some holes. I don't know if that makes it holier. Maybe. So we'll see. And oh, that one looks nice. So there's the second one in the oven. This one has 1.5 minutes, so when that one comes out, we'll turn it over for a minute, and we'll give this one 1.5 minutes. So now we're on to the third one, and we have 10 minutes to go. We're doing great here. We may be good with God on this one. Let's see. So just need to cook them until they're done. So you can see this one looks a little brown to me. So, and it could be because it's 500 degrees and it's on a stone. That could be part of the reason that if it were cooked, the other option if you didn't have a stone, or if you didn't want to have it get so brown, is you could cook it on just a cookie sheet, and then it would cook slower. And that one really looks cooked, so we're gonna have to step up our act. And this one's going in the oven. By the time we have done all of them, we may have figured out how to get them exactly right in terms of timing. That one looks much better. That one looks better. What do you think? And okay, we'll wait a couple minutes. So this one was the second one, and to me it looks very dark, too dark. It doesn't taste burnt, but it's not the way I want it to be. This one, I think that's better. Nice sound. This one is a good matzo. All I need is a little sarosa, maybe some horseradish just to not make it too sweet and delicious. Very nice. And you can see how easy it is. You just pull them out. Okay, so that was pretty easy. We'll make another batch or two, so we have enough for at least the beginning of Passover, and we're ready to go. We didn't have to find them at Kroger. So we made 3 batches. And Jerry rolled out the last 2 batches, right?
Yep.
We had the failures. These were the first 2, and we left them in for 3 minutes and then flipped them. And that was really too long, and the flavor is not good, so those will be squirrel food. And these are beautiful, and they were in for 2 minutes on a side, or 2 minutes on one side, and then about a minute and a little on the other. That's not ready. This one is. And I think the one in the back may be ready too. Let's see. Yeah, that one's probably ready.